Hello, and welcome to another episode of Finmet Mondays. As you can see, Mr. Sunil Kashyap is dressed up in a shawl, right in the spirit of the recently concluded India Gold Conference. Sunil, I heard it was quite a very eventful and informative session. I think we'll discuss a little bit more about that. But what about the price action for last week? What did you make of all the developments?
Well, I think last week we got it right. I mean, you got it right. We saw gold coming off as we expected. But the big thing for the talking point for last week was really the US dollar.
Yeah,
The US dollar was incredibly strong, and I think that had an impact on gold. So gold
right.
was weaker. But it wasn't just gold. Other commodities like oil suffered, Bitcoin suffered,
Right.
currencies, the
Correct.
sterling, the yen,
Correct.
the renminbi, all these currencies became weaker against the US dollars. So it's from a fundamental point of view. Also, I think one would expect gold was weaker. But what do you think the week ahead looks like now?
Let me show you on the charts how that actually translates to. So as you can see, we've been in a firm descending channel, continued from last week. This is the daily charts for spot gold. Now we're at this point where we're at the 1880 to 1890 level. We have a support here, 1877. This was established right from a 6 month low previously. This is where I think we are going to see a pause temporarily before we get a little bit more data and we can understand where markets are going to move forward. The interesting thing that you can see here, at least in the last week's price movement, is that if you look at the blue line over here and look at the orange line here, it's the candles have moved exactly within those two lines, the orange and the blue line, and that's actually what we call as the Bollinger Band. So there is, there's a Bollinger Band of varying standard deviations, and it's exactly moved in that. This is actually a very strong sell zone, is what we typically call it in the technical analysis, lingo. A lot of selling action is what we would typically expect continuing to go forward right as the markets have entered into this channel. That's what the outlook is typically, I would say, Sunil, that we are continuing to slightly see a little bit of a sideways to bearish action. That now, given the fact that the RSI is also hitting, if you look peak bottom, it's entering into the oversold condition. There's a very strong chance that traders are going to just back off and be like, we've seen a lot of pullback in gold. Maybe I think bulls are going to step in and take the price action slightly forward, maybe to 1900.
No, I agree. I mean, I think what I could hear in the conference when I talked to some of the large international traders, there's a few of the bullion banks represented by traders, and what they were saying is they were quite surprised about how well gold held off. They were expecting a washout down to 1851, which didn't happen, which is the support level you're showing. So I think there will be a situation where the dollar is going to get a bit weaker next week, and then gold will be supported. And you can see that blue chart that you showed, the candles on the blue side, they're showing some level of range bound support. So that's what we should be expecting for next week.
Definitely, definitely. What were the other developments, Sunil, from the conference? I'm sure there was a lot of other topics that were discussed as well.
Yeah, the conference was very mixed in terms of the mood. I think on the one hand, the solid thing was that the domestic jewelry industry is doing really well. It was the most well-attended conference in the last 20 years.
Oh, wow.
They had 600 odd participants.
Okay.
So it was really well represented from across the board.
Okay.
The jewelers, the jewelry industry typically was very bullish. The recent gold price reduction has meant that demand has been good.
Yep.
The recent IIJS exhibition has been very solid also.
Hmm.
So the mood from that side of the market was positive. I
Okay.
think where there was a little bit of confusion was from the side of the importers. There's
Mm.
so many issues regarding duty changes, regarding free trade agreements, and that's changing the way gold and silver is being imported into India. So there
Mm.
was a lot of confusion about whether that trend is going to continue in a few weeks, or whether the government's going to clamp down and try to reduce some of the aberrations in the duty structure. I think the only time will tell what's going to happen in the future.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, thanks, Sunil. Thanks for that quick update on the conference. We look forward to what the markets have for us in store as we progress to another slightly bearish cycle. But till then, thank you so much for tuning in and goodbye.
Thank you.